It began with a ripple in the stars, a disturbance so violent it tore open the black fabric of space and swallowed a Star Destroyer whole. One moment, Darth Vader stood in the shadow of galactic dominance, his flagship cutting through hyperspace, and the next, the stars twisted and contorted. A wormhole, unnatural and churning, with chaotic energy, opened like the mouth of a hungry god. The ship was dragged into the maw of the anomaly. Systems failed. The crew scrambled. And then silence. The vessel emerged, drifting in orbit around an unremarkable blue and green planet, far from the maps of any Imperial chart. Earth. But Vader was not interested in its oceans or cities. What caught his attention was something deeper, something older, something wrong. A malignant presence beneath the surface, gnawing at the edges of the Force like rot. Unfamiliar with this backwater world, Vader ordered scans and dispatched probe droids to survey the terrain. But the pull in the Force only grew darker. Something was calling to him. Still, he remained patient. While his officers worked to chart a path back to their galaxy, Vader retreated to his meditation chamber, sliding into his bacta tank. He needed clarity, he needed focus. But what awaited him was neither. As Vader slipped into unconsciousness, submerged in the waters of his tank, he felt himself pulled into something foreign. Dreams not his own. Red fog swirled around Vader as he stood, no longer in his chamber, but on Mustafar. The lava raging around him like it did the day he lost everything. The screams of Padme echoed in his ears, her voice warped and twisted into mockery. Anakin's charred reflection stared back at him from molten pools. In the deepest part of his subconscious, a laugh echoed, a raspy, sadistic cackle that cut through the haze of the dream world like a blade. And then, rising from the smoke, was a figure with a scorched sweater, a glove of knives, and a grin born in hell itself. "Hey there, Buckethead," Freddy Krueger sneered. "Let's have a talk about your mommy issues." Vader ignited his saber in the dream, slashing across the space between them. But Freddy vanished, reappearing behind him, but now in the form of Obi-Wan. "She died hating you, Anakin. She died afraid of you," Freddy said, and then with a cackle, shaped back into his own form. This was no mere dream. Vader could feel it. Something on the planet below had reached into his mind. It was not the Jedi, not the Force as he knew it. Something darker. Vader swung wildly, his rage filling the dream. But none of his powers worked here. None of the Force answered him. He was a god lost in someone else's hell. Freddy slashed across Vader's chest, not harming him physically, but carving deep into the fabric of his pain, twisting the world into more torment. Visions of Padme crying out, Obi-Wan leaving him broken, his body burning. "You're not the only one who likes playing with fear," Freddy whispered. "But you're my golden ticket, tin can. Just wait." With a final jolt, Vader burst awake in his tank, water rippling, mechanical breath rasping harder than usual. The Dark Lord stepped out, dripping, silent, but disturbed. Something had entered his mind. Something invited him to fear. He turned to the viewport, staring down at Earth. Somewhere on that planet was the origin of the evil that touched his soul. He would go alone. This was not a mission for stormtroopers or admirals. This was personal. Meanwhile, Freddy Krueger's influence spread. Slipping between dreams and shadows, he whispered across the veil to others who thrived on fear and death. He summoned them like chess pieces. Michael Myers, a shape of pure murder, drawn from Haddonfield by visions of a masked man cloaked in black. Ghostface, fragmented but willing, compelled by Freddy's promises of power and blood. Far away, Freddy paid a visit to someone else. Deep in a cursed house in Georgetown, a girl named Reagan slept fitfully. Possessed by the demon Pazuzu, she was never quite free. Freddy slid into her mind like a whisper. He didn't taunt her, he didn't harm her, he simply offered a deal, power in exchange for passage. When he left, Freddy Krueger was no longer just a dream demon. He was something more. He had crossed over, and he had a mission: destroy Darth Vader. Soon, Ghostface and Michael Myers arrived at Camp Crystal Lake, the the cursed home of Jason Voorhees. Through the dense, misty woods, Ghostface crept forward, his knife glinting under the moonlight as he scanned the eerie stillness for any sign of life. From the opposite side of the clearing, Michael Myers emerged from the shadows, silent, relentless, his cold, blank mask fixed on Ghostface like a predator spotting prey. Without hesitation, Michael lunged, blade flashing, but before he could strike, a massive machete swung into view, blocking the attack with a brutal clang of steel. Jason Voorhees stood between them now, towering and unyielding, his dark gaze shifting between the two intruders. The tension between the three killers was thick, ready to explode, until the ground began to tremble. A low mechanical hum filled the air as a dark shuttle descended through the fog. The killers instinctively turned their attention to the sky, watching as Darth Vader's ship landed near the lake. The ramp lowered with a hiss of steam, and from the darkness, the towering figure of Vader emerged, his breathing slow and ominous. The killers, sensing something even darker than themselves, tightened their grips on their weapons. A new and far more dangerous enemy had arrived. No words were spoken, no introductions needed. The Dark Lord stepped onto cursed soil, the force swirling around him like a storm. He felt it instantly, the evil that clung to these creatures, not of the force, something primitive, but undeniably powerful. Jason and Ghostface charged first, driven more by instinct than plan. Michael disappeared into the woods, flanking. Vader raised a hand. Ghostface flew backward, crashing into a tree and falling unconscious. Jason came next, swinging with savage fury. Vader dodged, and with a flick of his wrist, ignited his red lightsaber and severed Jason's machete arm. Jason stumbled but did not fall. From behind, Michael emerged, lunging. Vader sensed him, holding out a hand, and caught Michael mid-charge in a force grip, lifting him off the ground. Vader studied him, his head tilted slightly. There was no soul here, only hollow hunger, a beast in human skin. As Vader contemplated the nature of this evil, the air rippled again. Freddy arrived, but not as he had been in the dream. This Freddy was real, flesh and blood, and more. His eyes glowed with demonic fire, his claws sharper, his presence oppressive. And now Freddy's scheme was clear. From the beginning, he had been after something far greater than fear. He wanted power. He had sought out the demon that once possessed Reagan, offering himself as a vessel in exchange for a chance to challenge something even darker than hell. Luring Michael, Ghostface, and Jason to Camp Crystal Lake had only been part of the setup, a chaotic distraction designed to wear Vader down. Freddy's true aim was to strike at the perfect moment, when Vader was vulnerable, and use his newfound demonic strength to possess the Sith Lord from within, seizing control of the dark side itself. Freddy lunged at Vader, slashing with claws empowered by an ancient demon. The Dark Lord dropped Michael and turned to face this new threat. Their duel was fierce. Freddy moved like a whisper, teleporting, taunting, twisting reality around him. But Vader's power was absolute. He hurled stones and trees. He shattered the ground with his will. Their battle raged, red saber flashing against infernal claw, until Freddy summoned a wall of flame, forcing Vader back. Jason's arm began to regenerate, tissue reforming unnaturally fast. Ghostface rose from unconsciousness, groaning, confused but alive. Michael stood once more, knife in hand, more monster than man. And then they all moved as one. Vader stood alone as 4 slashers bore down on him, each a different flavor of death. Freddy slashed with demonic power. Jason charged headlong, swinging his machete. Michael circled like a predator. Ghostface dashed between shadows, but Darth Vader was no ordinary foe. He absorbed the chaos. He controlled the battlefield. He caught Ghostface mid-sprint, impaling him with a saber through the chest. Vader seized Jason with the Force, his gloved hand clenching into a fist as Jason's body crumpled into a grotesque tangle of bone and flesh before hurling him like a broken doll into the depths of the lake. Michael landed a brutal strike, slicing deep into Vader's shoulder, but the Dark Lord barely flinched, spinning and severing the knife from his grip with a clean arc. With another quick movement, Vader severed Michael's head from his body. Freddy was the last to fall. As the demon-powered killer lunged for a final blow, Vader caught him in the air with the Force, his hand outstretched. The Force screamed as Vader crushed Freddy's form mid-air, bones snapping, demonic essence shrieking in defiance. But Freddy had made a mistake. By crossing into the physical realm, he made himself vulnerable. And Vader exploited it. With one final surge, Vader plunged his lightsaber through Freddy's heart. The demon screamed, his power unraveling like smoke. The ground shook, the trees bent, and then silence. Jason's body sank beneath the water. Ghostface's mask cracked and blooded. Michael's headless body lay still, and Freddy Krueger was gone. Darth Vader stood alone once more, breathing heavy but victorious. He turned his gaze to the stars. This planet held darkness beyond his understanding, but it had underestimated the darkness within him. The killers of Earth had fallen, their nightmares extinguished by a darkness even deeper than their own.